I did not feel like I was being treated the same as some male artists when I was coming out with my first album.
Were you a bird in a cage? Without him, would you be where you are today?
I believe so. But surviving the music industry, I don't know if I have survived it yet. I'm trying, I'm still trying. It's hard.
Apparently, after years of whispers about her rocky relationship with Clive Davis, Mariah is finally pulling back the curtain on what really went down behind the scenes.
The record label wanted to kind of guide me in direction to work with producers that she had worked with, and I already had my own demo of songs that I'd written, and I had my own identity, but everybody wanted to push me that way.
Rumors have long suggested that Davis was more than just a mentor. He was controlling, manipulative, and may have demanded inappropriate favors to keep Mariah's career afloat.
It shouldn't be record companies making the majority of things, and then the artists get the smallest percentage of what goes on for a song that you created.
Now, with Mariah hinting at explosive truths, it looks like Clive's carefully built legacy could be on the verge of collapse. So let's get into the messy details. In the world of fame and fortune, the glitz often hides the grime, and now that grime is bubbling to the surface. Mariah Carey, the elusive chanteuse and one of the most iconic voices in music history, is peeling back the curtain on her past. And in doing so, she's shining a very uncomfortable spotlight on the man who once pulled many of the strings behind the scenes, Clive Davis.
Well, when he's very involved with someone's career, as he is with a lot of the artists on the label now, myself not included.
For decades, Clive Davis has been hailed as the music industry's golden god. He's been credited with launching superstars like Whitney Houston, Alicia Keys, and of course, Mariah Carey herself. But beneath the praise lies a trail of control, manipulation, and disturbingly dark rumors. And now, it looks like the truth might finally be clawing its way to the surface. Thanks to Mariah's not-so-subtle revelations, Mariah Carey's journey to stardom wasn't just about talent, it was a battlefield. After enduring years under the thumb of Sony Music executive and ex-husband Tommy Mottola, she sought freedom. But freedom in the music industry comes with a price, and Clive Davis was waiting.
I could just put my foot down and have a tantrum and say, well, I want this song.
When Mariah left Sony, Davis swooped in with offers of new deals, more creative freedom, and a fresh start under his new label, J Records. But behind the scenes, insiders say it was anything but freeing. Davis allegedly wanted to mold Mariah into his next project, just like he did with Whitney Houston. According to sources close to the situation, Davis would pull the strings, shape the music, and dictate the public persona, all while pretending to support her artistic freedom. But the rumors don't stop there, and this is where things take a darker, more disturbing turn. Behind the closed doors of music mogul meetings, some whispers never made it to the headlines. Until now, industry insiders have claimed that Davis allegedly used his position of power to pressure young female artists into uncomfortable situations. And when it came to Mariah Carey, the gossip circles were buzzing with claims that Davis hinted at exchanging personal loyalty for career protection. She took to Twitter and said, "It's been impossible to communicate the complexities and depth of my experience in any single magazine article or a 10-minute television interview. And even then, my words were filtered through someone else's lens, largely satisfying someone else's assignment to define me." According to multiple reports, Mariah was allegedly propositioned with unsettling choices: stay under Davis's control, follow his lead and keep climbing, or face isolation in an industry he practically ruled. While Mariah has never publicly confirmed these exact allegations, her recent interviews have included veiled comments about being treated like a commodity and being expected to compromise herself to maintain support.
I didn't really feel accepted in anyone's particular world.
For someone who's built a career on being outspoken, these subtle digs have sparked serious speculation, and fans and industry veterans alike are starting to connect the dots, especially when you consider how quickly Mariah distanced herself from Davis after early collaborations. To fully understand what may have happened with Mariah, you have to look at Clive Davis's long history of controlling his artists, especially Whitney Houston. Davis didn't just launch Houston, he designed her. From her songs to her wardrobe to her carefully polished image, Davis orchestrated it all. But the cost? Whitney was allegedly forced to hide parts of her true self, particularly her and personal struggles in order to maintain the squeaky clean pop princess facade Davis believed was necessary for mainstream success. Whitney Houston was found dead in a hotel where Clive were throwing a Grammy party. Chaka Khan actually spoke out about it. She called out Clive Davis for still going through with the bash at the Beverly Hilton just hours after Whitney's sudden passing. In an interview on CNN's Piers Morgan tonight, Chaka didn't hold back. She said it was complete insanity and made it clear she was not okay with how that whole situation was handled.
I thought that was complete insanity. And knowing Whitney, I don't believe that she would have said.
Chaka kept it real in her comments. She talked about who Whitney really was and made it clear that Whitney never would have wanted the party to go on like that. She pointed out how tone deaf it was to keep the celebration going in the same building where Whitney had just died. Especially knowing how much Clive Davis meant to Whitney and how big of a role he played in her career, it just hit even harder.
The show must go on. She was the kind of woman that was stop everything. I'm not going to be there.
She was actually planning to hit up Clive Davis's annual party, but everything changed the moment she landed in LA and heard about Whitney's death. She said the news left her feeling paralyzed. On top of that, she didn't hold back about how wrong it was to have Whitney in LA for an entire week leading up to her pre-Grammy performance, especially knowing her struggles with addiction. Chaka clearly felt like the whole situation was mishandled from the jump.
I couldn't put on makeup. I couldn't get dressed. I couldn't do anything. I was paralyzed. I couldn't do anything.
Sadly, the entertainment world has seen way too many artists break under the pressure, falling victim to the dark side of fame and addiction. Whitney Houston was no exception. Her long struggle with D's, A, and heavy smoking took a serious toll. As her health kept declining, it became harder to ignore, and eventually, it all caught up with her. Many others close to Houston have since spoken out.
It's my deciding. It's my heart. It's what I want and what I don't want. Nobody makes me do anything I don't want to do.
Saying that the pressure to live a double life ultimately led to internal turmoil and emotional collapse. During an interview, Whitney Houston raised concerns about her dispute with Clive Davis and hinted at a potential conspiracy against her. By divulging industry secrets, she inadvertently made herself vulnerable to exploitation. Some sought to undermine her credibility and diminish the impact of her revelations by exploiting her struggles with addiction and other vulnerabilities. The news of her unexpected passing came as a profound shock, especially given the circumstances leading up to it. It was a tragic turn of events that deeply affected the music world. Unfortunately, like many artists in the entertainment industry, Houston faced challenges with addiction. Her ongoing struggles, coupled with declining health, overshadowed her career and ultimately led to her untimely demise.
It's my deciding. It's my heart. It's what I want and what I don't want. Nobody makes me do anything I don't want to do.
Meanwhile, speculation surrounding Clive Davis's involvement in Houston's death gained attention, particularly after Davis revealed he was the last person with Houston before her passing. Davis, a highly influential figure in the music industry, is renowned for his achievements, notably founding Arista Records and signing numerous successful Black artists such as Patti Smith, Aretha Franklin, and Alicia Keys. He played a key role in launching Bad Boy Records with Puffy, but his most significant discovery was Whitney Houston.
Spending time with her when the picture was inescapable. There were two times, one live, where she came to my home, where we had a personal...
There are widespread beliefs among many people that Clive Davis was the one who introduced her to D, especially considering his history, which has often involved allegations related to D dealings. A civil suit filed against Mr. Davis highlighted evidence suggesting that another individual, Mr. Winshaw, had allegedly misused the company's funds. Mr. Winshaw was summoned before the Newark grand jury and subsequently discharged by Columbia on April 10, 1973. Clive Davis may always be most closely associated with Whitney Houston, but reports suggest that his role in her rise has been heavily overstated. Contrary to popular belief, it's widely claimed that Clive did not discover or develop Whitney. She was already a once-in-a-generation talent, lightning in a bottle, destined for superstardom no matter which label signed her. Her unmatched voice was the real draw, and industry insiders say that any competent executive could have seen her potential. That said, Davis is credited with marketing Whitney aggressively to white mainstream audiences, audiences, a strategy that paid off commercially. Still, many believe that Whitney would have reached similar heights even without his involvement. Interestingly, one of her most iconic career moves, The Bodyguard, was reportedly made against Clive's advice. Sources say he warned her not to venture into acting, fearing it would derail her music career. According to industry accounts, Whitney recorded the Bodyguard soundtrack without Clive's input or approval. It wasn't until he heard I Will Always Love You, a song handpicked by Kevin Costner, that he gave the project his full support, allegedly because he realized the track was a guaranteed hit. Critics of Davis claim that his Svengali-like control over his artists may have held Whitney back at key moments in her career. As for his legacy as an AANDR executive, opinions are split. While he's often hailed as a music industry visionary, some say his most notable artist comebacks, like those of Aretha Franklin and Dionne Warwick in the 1980s, were for performers who were already established legends. And while he worked with names like Barry Manilow and Janis Joplin, skeptics argue that his actual creative input was limited. There's also criticism of his formulaic approach to crossing over Black artists by whitewashing their sound to appeal to pop radio, a move some now view as lazy or reductive. Then there's the matter of Mariah Carey. In the early 2000s, following the commercial failure of Glitter, rumors circulated that Mariah was close to signing with Clive Davis at J Records. But at the 11th hour, she was seen hanging out with Jay-Z, who introduced her to Lyor Cohen. Jay, who was negotiating his own position at Def Jam at the time, allegedly used Mariah's potential signing as leverage. Carey ultimately inked a deal with Island Records, where she was promised her own label imprint, Monarchy, and complete creative control. Industry whispers claim that Clive felt deeply betrayed by this move. In response, some insiders allege that he used his considerable influence to blacklist Lyor Cohen from major industry events for years. According to music industry reports and rumors, the fallout between Clive Davis and Lyor Cohen can be traced back to a high-stakes moment involving Mariah Carey after her Glitter era collapse. Following her emotional breakdown and being dropped from Virgin Records, Carey was trying to stage a comeback. Clive Davis, freshly launched with his new label J Records, reportedly saw a golden opportunity and began negotiating to sign her. It was widely expected that Carey would join Davis, which would have marked a high-profile revival under one of the industry's most influential executives. But at the 11th hour, she changed course, reportedly after spending time with Jay-Z, who was aligning himself with Def Jam. Jay-Z introduced her to Lyor Cohen, then head of Island Def Jam, who offered Mariah a deal she couldn't refuse: full creative control, her own imprint, Monarch Records, and freedom from the kind of executive oversight she had previously experienced.
It shouldn't be record companies making the majority of things and then the artists get the smallest percentage of what goes on for a song that you created.
This sudden shift blindsided Clive Davis, according to insiders. He allegedly felt betrayed, especially since Carey had already been in advanced talks with J Records. Rumors suggest that Clive Davis didn't take the loss lightly. Multiple music insiders have claimed that he used his considerable industry influence to quietly blacklist Lyor Cohen from certain elite music circles and events in the years following the incident. While no public confrontation ever occurred between the two, sources say Cohen was frozen out of some of the most exclusive events and award committees, and Davis reportedly made it known that he viewed the situation as a major betrayal. It wasn't just about Mariah Carey. At the time, both Clive and Lyor were power players jockeying for dominance in an evolving music landscape. Davis was an old-school mogul with deep roots in pop and adult contemporary, while Cohen was rising fast with strong ties to hip-hop and urban music. Their approaches clashed, and the Mariah incident became the symbolic tipping point.
I did not feel like I was being treated the same as some male artists when I was coming out with my first album.
Though both men continued to succeed in their respective corners of the industry, those close to the situation claim the relationship between Clive Davis and Lyor Cohen was never repaired. While Clive Davis remains a towering figure in music history, a growing number of voices question whether his legacy has been inflated, built more on strategic maneuvering and power plays than true artistic innovation. And when you compare that with Mariah's early 2000s breakdown, famously labeled a meltdown by the press, people are beginning to ask, was she going through the same thing? Was she trying to escape a system built to control her? What actually happened was that Mariah Carey and her ex, Tommy Mottola, who is a big record executive, were feuding. Tommy found out that Mariah was making a song with Ja Rule, so he asked the producers to create the same sound for J-Lo. Essentially, Tommy wanted Mariah Carey's career to flop and used Jennifer Lopez as a catalyst.
So my time was told.
Yeah, get out of it.
And he calls me because he found out me and Rule made a record with Mariah Carey.
The song was originally written and sung by Murder Inc. It was recorded and performed by Ashanti, so it was completely her song. But Jennifer Lopez was ordered to recreate it because Tommy felt like J-Lo was more of a competitor for Mariah and could help take her out. It seems like J-Lo has a pattern of using this excuse for several songs. For example, I'm Real was released twice in different versions. The track was a typical pop song and is rumored to be a dig at rival Mariah Carey. The sampled version used Firecracker by Yellow Magic Orchestra, which hadn't been sampled before 2001. Mariah Carey had attempted to license it for her song Loverboy, but Tommy Mottola, Mariah's former husband, beat her to it with malicious intent. Once again, J-Lo couldn't find the time to lay down her own vocals for the chorus. Instead, the voice you hear is actually Shalene Thomas's. This incident most definitely prompted Mariah Carey's famous I don't know her line.
Und was ist mit J-Lo?
Die kenne ich nicht.
Oops.
Honestly, maybe Mariah Carey doesn't know her because nobody really knows her in the truest sense. If she's not singing her own music and can't find the time to maintain a career she's profiting so much from, it all feels pretty inauthentic. That's why people are starting to question her now.
Mariah, who calls herself Supergirl, says she often sleeps just 3 hours a night. When told Lopez claimed to get 8, Mariah said, quote, "If I had the luxury of not actually having to sing..."
Honestly, you've got to admit, we love seeing Mariah tell it like it is. Sure, Mariah might not use her live vocals all the time these days, but she can actually sing and hit those notes. That's not it. Mariah also had a fight with Jay-Z as well. Jay-Z and Mariah Carey collaborated on the 1999 single Heartbreaker and have been friends ever since. In 2017, she signed with Roc Nation Management years after firing manager Stella Bulachnikov. But according to The Sun, Jay-Z and Mariah Carey's business relationship has come to an unceremonious end. The two superstars reportedly got into a huge fight over the future of her career that ended with Carey leaving the company. A source said Mariah and Jay had an explosive meeting which did not go well at all. She has made it clear she wants nothing more to do with him and has called it quits with Roc Nation. She will formally depart in the next few weeks. It is a shame because they had done some great work in the last few years, but this meeting couldn't have gone much worse. Mariah Carey's name had been removed from the Roc Nation management segment of the website, suggesting the split was immediate. Carey was reportedly working on a heavily R&B influenced album and planning another world tour for that year. Sources added that she had already been in talks with other managers and was focused on her next steps. Over the last few years, Carey had released her 30th anniversary album, The Rarities, as well as her New York Times best-selling memoir, The Meaning of Mariah Carey. In a 2018 interview with V Magazine, Carey opened up about what led to the Heartbreaker collaboration. "We were at Mr. Chow's in New York. This was before everybody in the world knew who he was," she recalled of their early days. "But we lovers of hip-hop knew who he was and were very in awe of him, his talent, where he came from, his whole story and everything. So we talked that night and ended up collaborating. Now let's talk about Clive. Clive Davis didn't just control his artists. He controlled the entire playing field. Reports claim he had no problem blacklisting people who got in his way. One glaring example, Lior Cohen. After Cohen helped Mariah break free from Davis's circle of influence, Davis allegedly went on a behind-the-scenes mission to shut Cohen out of powerful industry deals. It's been said that Davis had connections so deep he could make or break anyone with a single phone call. So for artists like Mariah, resisting him wasn't just risky, it was career. This pattern of control, intimidation, and alleged coercion has existed for years, whispered about in backstage conversations and closed-door meetings. On one side of the spectrum, many view Clive Davis as a revered and accomplished producer, renowned for nurturing a diverse range of artists and crafting musical hits that have left an indelible mark on the industry. His legacy and practices have solidified his reputation as a key figure in shaping the music landscape.
Consistent with what you're writing about, you could go from one side of the stage to the other.
However, in the shadows, there exists a contrasting perception. Some voices suggest a different narrative, portraying Davis as a man with a more complex and controversial persona. These critics label him as one of the first gay gatekeepers of the industry, allegedly exerting influence through manipulation and a calculated demeanor. Such claims paint a picture of a cold-blooded operator who wields power behind the scenes, orchestrating moves that go beyond the public eye.
He needed her back. but he needed her back and under his control.
In the intricate tapestry of the music world, Clive Davis stands as both a celebrated legend and a figure shrouded in speculative whispers, embodying the duality that often characterizes the entertainment realm. It was mainly due to the fact that he allegedly mentored Diddy. Through this period of self-reflection, Clive reached the revelation that his SO was not exclusively HS, a stark departure from his convictions during the initial 5 decades of his life.
Open myself up to the possibility of a relationship based on the person and not on...
In his published book, The Soundtrack of My Life, Davis recounts that his initial experience of engaging in a S encounter with a man took place during the Studio 54 Inches era, a period when he was married to his second spouse, Janet Adelberg. On this night, after imbibing enough alcohol, I was open to responding to his S overtures, Davis wrote. Was I nervous? Absolutely. Did the heavens open up? No, but it was satisfying. The experience prompted a period of soul-searching and self-analysis. Following his separation from Adelberg in 1985, Davis entered into relationships with individuals of various genders. From 1990 onward, he has been involved in 2 enduring relationships, both with male partners. You don't have to be only one thing or another, Davis said in an interview with U.S. chat show host Katie Couric. I opened myself up to the possibility that I could have a relationship with a man as well as the 2 that I had with a woman. In another chat with Nightline, Davis complained that BS is maligned and misunderstood. For over 50 years, I never had S with a male, he said. It wasn't repressed. I had very good S-relationships with women. Clive said that he is not ashamed of his S orientation. He said, but I never stopped being attracted to women. Bias S is misunderstood. The adage is that you're either straight or gay or lying, but that's not my experience. To call me anything other than bias would be inaccurate. Later on, Clive established a dedicated partnership with another man, and this bond endures to the present day. Following years of uncertainty, several sources within the industry have claimed that Diddy is apparently the individual in question, holding the position of Clive's significant other.
To know the truth of the matter, they was the one putting the money behind the engine of Bad Boy until Puff could get up there to Clive Davis. You know what I'm saying? Well, Andre Harrell didn't do.
But now, with Mariah Carey subtly speaking out, it seems like the music world's best-kept secret might be about to explode into full public view. Mariah Carey has always played the long game. She's survived marriages, mental health battles, and industry betrayal, but she's also found her voice. And now she's using it to expose what many believe has been an open secret in the business for years. The fallout from her recent statements could be massive, because if more artists come forward, and if even some of these rumors about Clive Davis are proven true, we're not just talking about tarnishing a reputation. We're talking about the complete collapse of one of the most powerful figures in music history. Clive Davis might have built empires, but Mariah Carey could be the one to burn them down. That's it for today. See you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.